Welcome, everyone, to the Wrestling Informer Show here on K100's YouTube channel. I'm Kev Manning. I am from the Lingus Mafia podcast. All my stuff is at Lingus Mafia. I am joined by your number one source for all of your wrestling news. Even though some people bitch and complain, it's the fact that Billy is number one when it comes to it. He's at Billy K100, Billi. And when you write the I like to put a big circle on top of that last one.
But yeah, Mike, what I was going to say is to start the show off is I was going to address those comments and things. And this is the thing that people don't understand. Somebody was saying something like, oh, why doesn't Jeff do this show instead? And I don't understand the issue with you. As we explained it before, this is different. This is different to the Dirty Sheets in terms of
people don't know me and you do shows constantly too. It's not like I just got introduced to you.
First and foremost, yeah, it's a 6-year relationship that works. It's spawned like a very popular podcast, which we met through a different podcast, which is now done, thankfully, because it was awful. And yeah, so we did our own thing. So this relationship is first of all 6 years old, and this is my choice to do it. I want to do it with Cab because I find Cab's content to be entertaining, and it makes me more entertaining because we can bounce off and do it. I don't understand what the issue is. I don't understand why you want some guy out here reading the news, and that's what I generally think people want. Sometimes I honestly think the problem with me is I'm not old enough, I'm not bold enough, I'm not fat enough, I'm not ugly enough, and I'm not white enough to give you your wrestling news. Or
they just want the show to start and give me the damn news. I don't give a shit about your giveaways. I don't give a shit about you getting autographs. Give me the news and go away. So I'm sure multiple people have hit this thing to go 10 seconds ahead each time too.
But I've just done this show for 18 months, the same show, and it was with a guy who had an agenda to just say everything is shit. He's bitter. The business don't want him no more, and he just wants to trash every single thing that's going on. All the time it was, bro, this is terrible. Bro, that's terrible. Bro, this is terrible. Oh, that's an awful idea.
But doesn't watch SmackDown, which drove me crazy because I would beg him on that show. You need to watch. That's the good show for the most part, I would say, because I actually look forward to watching SmackDown. I'm like, you're missing what Roman is doing. How could you be missing the main stuff that's good? And he would watch Raw because that's the one that's the flagship. But if it's trash, then watch the good stuff. Even when NXT was a lot better too. And I was like, NXT's takeovers were always fantastic. You wouldn't even need to watch NXT because I don't watch NXT religiously at all. But when the pay-per-view is on for NXT TakeOver, I'm there. I won't even know some of these people. I'm like, they're fantastic matches usually. So they have storylines until, I don't know if they're still doing anything good because of the 2.0 thing with Bruce taking over with Vince. But
I mean, he's not.
I haven't seen much of it.
Yeah, I mean that's got mixed reviews, but yeah, I mean, my whole point is that I feel like this chemistry works a lot better. It's completely my choice, and I have that choice to make. I don't want to keep beating this drum this hard, but the fact is that I don't need to cover wrestling. You need me to cover wrestling. I don't need to cover wrestling. You need me to get the actual news. The other guys out there are feeding you. We have recently subscribed to someone's Patreon who's supposed to be credible, and it is bringing us nothing but laughter on a
You should see this quote unquote news that we get from this guy's Patreon. It's bad. I mean, it's almost stuff you can make up your own self and kind of know. Or that the one that we were reading was the person who was the producer of each of these matches? This is the person who produced this match. This is the person who produced this. Who cared? It was like
that wasn't even the worst. Some people like trash like that. They want to know who's producing the shit. It was more like the stuff where he made a story out of a story that wasn't even a story. Like that whole thing about the December pay. And we'll talk about it. We'll read out some of this crap on the show, as we get to it. But that's my point in terms of I am only doing this for fun, and I'm only doing this out of spite because I enjoy spite and I enjoy embarrassing.
You do.
And Sean Ross Sapp and all these people. For me, this isn't about money. This makes up about 5-10% of my income max. That's just because the stuff I do over at the Sports Gambling Podcast, it keeps me busy enough, and there's just a much higher income ceiling there in terms of, you know, one gambling patron for me over at lockbetting.com has the same value as, I can't remember. I think we
quite a few. Is it over 10?
24? No, it's 24.
Oof.
Right.
24 people equals one person.
Yeah,
on the
24 wrestling patrons equal one gambling patron. So
it would be like mine, where people are signing up for $5. You got to have a lot of people.
Exactly. So that's the thing. My wrestling's $5 too. So that's the thing for me. It's not a high priority, and it's never been about the money. I was surprised my Patreon got that busy. I was surprised Russo wanted to do something. But the bottom line is that everything I need to do, I need to enjoy it. And the thing with Russo, which has been totally blown out of proportion, is that it was never financial. Let me just play this clip that was sent to us where Russo's trying to come out as the good guy. And I'm not saying he's a good guy and a bad guy in this, but he's trying to explain the situation. And everything here is completely wrong. So I'm just going to play this.
Shoot some. And you told your pastor, and that was it. That's as far as it went.
I don't understand it, Ocho. These people support me, and then when there's one, first of all,
let me paint the scene, because I'm a little lost here. What happened?
Ocho, listen, bro. There was an issue with somebody that was on the brand, a guest, not a guest, a contributor.
Somebody.
Okay? Bro, the guy made it clear to me how unhappy he was. He was unhappy.
Yeah,
he was losing money because he was on the brand and he was taken away from his own Patreon, this and that. So, Ocho, when somebody's that unhappy, what do you think I'm going to say?
You're going to say, by all means, unsubscribe if you need.
Bro, I'm going
unsubscribe.
I was working with on the brand. What am I going to tell them if they tell me they're that? What am I going to say, Ocho?
Do what's best for you. You're going to say, I want you to be happy. Do your thing.
Exactly, bro. If you're happy, why are you doing it? If you're unhappy, you shouldn't be doing it. If this isn't working out for you, no problem, bro.
And you've been in that boat how many times, Vinny?
Right, exactly. And I've handled it the same every single time, bro. I've handled it the same.
Wow, we're coming in hot and heavy.
The said person, they were unhappy. They were losing money. We had an agreement. They wanted to change the agreement. I said, no. I'm paying you. This is the agreement I wanted. If you're unhappy, bro, just don't do the show anymore.
And we're good. And no hard
feelings. We're good. I got no good. I'm not going to bury you publicly. I'm not going to say nothing about you. Nothing.
Oh, Vinny, I'm hurt.
So what do I do like I always do, Ocho? What do I do? I'm going to replace the show, and I'm probably going to replace it by myself to buy me a little time to either find something better or find another co-host or whatever.
Well, Vinny, you're also running the show, so it's not even if they're.
All right, that's
So what do you find? Because I'll do devil's advocate for this for sure. So what do you say is wrong there, and I'll tell you if I disagree or not.
Yeah, I don't need you to like play devil's advocate for it, because the fact is that it's the way it comes across in terms of there was any kind of, it was like, oh, you're unhappy. I really care about you. You know, like, I don't want you to be unhappy. Just go. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I bugged this, like, first of all, from the very beginning. And I know I've spoken about this before, right? The deal was very, very simple. He wanted me to come on and do the show. And Cav, I do podcasts over at the Sports Gambling Podcast, right? What do I get for those shows? I don't even know what I get for the shows. Do you know what I get?
I don't know. You get I don't know what you get, actually. I think I know what Russo gave you.
Yeah. I get what Russo was trying to give me for the whole month for one show. I get.
Oh, that was per show you get on the other one. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, I get a 3-figure sum per show, right? For 20 to 30 minutes, right? I think that's my value, but I understand I can lower that for wrestling because people really
and per week.
You can make money on that show, right? You can make money on that show. You can also make money on the wrestling shows if it's a gambling show, but mostly it's just me talking news and whatever. So, you know, and like I said, I don't care about making money. I was a Russo fan, like I'm a wrestling fan. I mean, I've read his books and everything. I'm skeptical about one or two things which like you are, because you hear, geez, why does everybody hate this guy? Like, seems like a really nice guy. Like, I have no problem dealing with him for like about 2 weeks or so. But yeah, the problems started there and then. So he wants me to come on and do the show. He's not going to be able to pay my rate. What do we do? Let's do a deal. Let's just do a content swap. Like, your face is going to boost up my content, and my news, which is 100% accurate almost and has been for years, is going to boost your content. If you want a news show, if you want to go down that path, which is contradictory to the fact that you have another show called Castrating the Marks and Their Dirt Sheets, where you laugh at dirt sheet writers and you laugh at people that want them. But as soon as you can get somebody on with my accuracy level, you want the show. And obviously he's backtracked from that and said, oh, you're an entertaining guy. I like the way you look. I like the way you talk. I wasn't ever interested in the news. I was interested in you as a person. I call on that, because if I'm there with no news and say, hey, Vince Russo, I'm like an ex-reality TV show star from over 10 years
ago. Yeah, when are you guys going to just shoot the
let's bring me on and let's chat about some like, he would have said, yeah, no thanks, I haven't got room for it. But yeah, so this is the thing. Like, that's for starters. That's just cop out. So immediately I come on, I start doing the news, and I'm supposed to be a bit on chicken necks for like 20 minutes or so. But it starts to like get over with people, and he goes, you know what, I can ride this, I can make some money on this money train, and I'll put this guy on his own Patreon tier without asking me. Who gets all the messages? Me. Oh, why is he doing this? I can't find your show. This is unfair. I'm already paying for all these other shows, which are by the way. I'm already paying for all these 25 other shows, and now I have to pay for another one. That's got nothing to do with me at all. In fact, I didn't even know he was going to do it. Like, so immediately I'm behind a different paywall. So the content swap isn't happening. We've been fobbed off for months, and the content swap that we came up with, so we didn't want a day-to-day a week-by-week wrestling show where he comes on and chats about Raw and SmackDown with us, because he's already doing that for Sportskeeda and whatever. So I said, I want to go back to doing our show called Back to the Monday Night Wars. We'll rebrand it as Podcast and a Poll. Me and Cav did a show for a couple of years. It wasn't getting enough listeners for the amount of time we were spending on it, and we decided to put it on the shelf. So we took it back off the shelf, and it's cursed, by the way, because we took it back off the shelf, and now we're like we're rebranding it again with other guests. We already had Bischoff on, and we got other people coming on. So it does look like we're committed to finishing this no matter what this time. But yeah, Russo obviously let us down, but we'll get to that part in a minute. So the idea is that he was going to do Podcasts and a Poll every week, and I was going to do his show. Now, I'm respectful, and I even say, like, look, you're Vince Russo, I'm me. Like, so, I'll do your hour and a half. Oh, you just do half an hour, right? I gave him a 3-to-1 valuation of himself over me for content time, and that was the swap that I agreed to. Do you recall? I said that we were going to do 30 minutes a week. You were going to fill it out with clips. We were going to do Raw versus Nitro every single week. I can't do it this week, bro. I'm behind on my show. I can't do it this week, bro. I got to fix my eyes. I can't do it this show.
Didn't have enough time every single week. So you ended up settling for something else.
I go, look, like, we have missed the starting point where I wanted to start this show. We've missed like the 97 King of the Ring. We're coming up to SummerSlam now. Like, we're coming up to SummerSlam. Like, I really want to get started before Brett wins the title. You know what, bro? I just realized I can't do it every week. I just can't do this every week. Can we do it monthly or something? And then I'll pay you to make up for the rest of the money, to make up for the rest of the time that you're giving me. Because I'm now giving him 6 hours for 1 hour, right? So he now needs to pay me, he says. So I say, fine, whatever. I don't even talk about the pay. I just think I'm going to get a respectful payment. The payment was not respectful. But you know what? I go back to my point, not covering wrestling for money. So it was more the disrespect than the actual money. Because
did you say anything about it though? No, about the money right off the bat.
No,
okay.
No. I just
you wanted to get that other show done.
Yeah, I just wanted to stop rocking the boat and get moving along with the other show, because obviously we put it on the shelf. He's been putting it on hold for 4 months, which, by the way, he didn't ever go back and so let me pay you for the 4 months that you've done this show, that you've done it for free while you're waiting for me to come and do the content. He didn't say that. He said, let me start paying you for now. So I have built his Patreon wall off my news, which is accurate to the T, for 4 months while he hasn't done any content for me. I've built his $3 Patreon for him with all the people behind it, and he decides to pay me after it's successful. He starts, and then he starts to make a commitment to Podcast in a Bowl for 1 month. Well, he shouldn't have bothered, because apart from the first show, which was completely about him, he then started to phone it in all the way through. And I'm talking about not watching the shows, not remembering anything. Me and Cav were going through notes where we were like, how do we avoid the answer? I don't remember, bro. What year was this, bro? What month are we talking about? Like, what? Like, it's a month by month.
Well, I mean, we should know right off the bat. I mean, and I don't know. I'm wondering if did he ever say to us, I hate talking about my career? He might have earlier, but it continued on where I told him personally, this is where this part is your fault. If you did not want to do this at all, why did you ever agree to it? It would have never happened if he just said, I'll pay you from get-go. I don't want to do that show. And you would have been like, all right, well, then you would have probably just done the show and got paid for it. And it would have never happened. But everyone gets worked up and excited, like, oh, cool idea, I'm going to do this. And then you start to do it and go, why the hell did I agree to do this? That's where I think it
worked both ways. Like, I knew I was going to damage my Patreon by giving my news away for free, on a weekly basis. He knew that, I guess he didn't want to talk about his career, even though he's wrote books about it, and we only wanted him for like once a month. So I mean,
it is what he's famous for. I mean, if you're famous for something, people will probably want to talk to you about that. I don't think people have interviews with Bret Hart to talk about his Calgary Hitman hockey league.
I know he's doing a Lonesome Dove podcast.
So let's wrap this up. Let's go through this quickly because we got news to get to, and we're already
So anyway, so the whole thing about getting to the point where he's turning around and going, he told me I was unhappy, so I said leave. I told him I was unhappy since January, and what I told him I was unhappy with was not the money, not the lack of effort on Podcast in a Bowl, because me and Cav, we were going to carry him through it anyway, through editing and through asking the right questions, which, by the way, he refused to even look at the questions before the show because he gave us he was so lazy that he came out with, oh, I like to go in raw, bro. I like to be surprised, bro. But we don't like to be surprised with, I don't know, bro. So
I do get that because I'm the same way about, I like the spontaneous surprise me, like I was showing you the stuff that I'm doing giveaways. I want genuine reaction. However, when it came to that show, if he saw the first few times we've done the show that he is not remembering a lot of this stuff, and also if he's not watching it to even refresh, he should have said if he cared more about it, which, like I said, he just didn't give a shit about that show. And, God bless you, you don't care. But if that was reversed, I would have said, send me those questions, because I even told him, I can send you the questions. You cross off what you don't know. I won't ask you this.
Isn't that disrespectful? Like, I'm on your brand, giving you 6 hours a month in exchange for 1 hour and a amount of money, right? So isn't it disrespectful to not even listen, not even ask for some notes, or not even read through the notes, and not watch 20 minutes back just before the show, just to refresh yourself on this, that, or the other? Like,
I get not watching the month. That's a lot to do if he's doing this much stuff. I get it. This show was not making him money, which it could have, though, which I understand when you were asking we should do this on a free platform and get everybody to come over because you will hear content. It'll build. Because he told me, my YouTube doesn't have this many subscribers. And I said, but that doesn't mean you can't get more people.
And cutting to the chase, when he turned around and goes, this guy was unhappy, so I let him go because I'm such a nice guy. He came up, he told me that he would implement every single one of my ideas to stay, which was, okay, if we're going to do this show, let's make this show massive, right? Let's make this show massive so Everybody gets growth out of it. I'm on a bigger platform to talk about lockbetting.com. Let's start putting clips on YouTube. Let's start putting clips on Twitter. Let's start sending it to the dirt sheets. And that was my first argument with him. He goes, I don't want to work with the dirt sheets. I don't want to involve myself with these marks. It's like, well, you don't have to talk to them. All you have to do is mention the show. He's getting news. Just send them your news. Don't ever talk to them. They'll see it's right. They have to cover it.
However, he did send to that Raj guy. He said for a few weeks he would send him notes because Raj said, okay, I won't promise I'll put it out there, but I will look at it. He sent it for a few weeks. Raj on it, doesn't do anything about it. And so it's kind of like calling a girl that doesn't want to talk to you. He goes, I got the hint and I stopped sending it, which I do understand. I mean, you can't beat the guy to do it, but you would think the guy would want the story, but that Raj guy's got a hard on for you. So that's why it didn't get out there. No,
that's the worst guy to go to. A guy that I bailed on twice. Yeah. So yeah, it's not really the guy to go to. But the fact is that I came up with 100 ideas, 100 ways that this would get better in terms of start releasing little video clips, start releasing it to the dirt sheets,
and he said, fine, but you do it.
start making timestamps. Oh, I ain't got time for it. You do it. So you want me to make timestamp? You want me to give you my news? You want me to write down every bit of news and the timestamp for it? You want me to then go back, find the video, edit it up, send it to you, and then you'll put it on your Twitter and your YouTube to promote a show that you're the only one making money out of? Are you kidding me, dude? That was the issue, and and in the meantime, I got Disco and Conan talking to me and going, you know what? If it gets too much for you, you're welcome over here. If it gets too much of it, we'd love to have you.
You got the pretty girl on the other side of the street waving you over.
And I'm not going to the bigger show with the people that I that I have a good relationship with, and I'm just popping on to Keep It 100 here and there for months. I'm popping on all the time when I know that I could be doing the show there out of the pure respect that Vince Russo sent some signed magazine covers to my son for his 10th birthday. That's in my head going, Jesus, this is hard to do. Yeah, this is a whole thing. And I know also when I do it, he's going to turn around and he's the type of guy that's going to go, well, I ain't doing podcasts and a polling. And we knew that was going to happen. So,
I mean, he's looking for a way to get out of it too. And if you really don't want to do the show, goodbye. I'm out of this podcast on a poll thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, to summarize, deal for me, changed the deal from the very beginning. Got out of doing something he agreed to do for 4 months, didn't go back and paid me, underpaid me whilst phoning in podcasts and a poll for months, got sent a bunch of ideas to make me happier, said he would do them, didn't. Then he told me to do my ideas myself. I tried. And in the end, it was just a terrible thing to carry on doing, especially when you actually have somewhere to go. So yeah, that's what actually happened with that situation. I know you said you wanted to pick holes in it, but I don't even know how you can.
No. I mean, I've chimed in when I needed to, but my whole thing is now you shouldn't be attacking the guy anymore. There's no reason.
This is the last thing I'm ever going to say about it, because we got people.
He tweets and there's a punch at the end of it from you.
Well, he's blocked me on everything for some reason.
Well, I don't know. There's a trash bag that floats around the internet here and there. I have reporters that I have informants that send me stuff and go, Jesus Christ. I'm like, man, oh man. So yeah, but I'm like, you have a better deal. You left. It was an amicable split. I don't understand. I'm like, all right, it's done. You could still be friends with the guy. You could still do stuff with him. And he goes, I'm in love with his son. Not in a, don't be nasty. But, he goes, I love his son to death. I like Billi. I don't know why he has to, go down this road.
I got the deal. Of course, it's going to be, this is you
got a better deal. Look where you are. You should be there.
You know who I am. You know who I am. I'm Bret Hart. I'm going for I got a $3 million deal with WCW.
And you're pissed.
But I still got screwed to the guy I was working my ass off for. That.
Yeah, it's okay, so if Russo said, if all that worked out and you stayed there, it'd be, you would be losing compared to what you are doing now. Where you're at now, for people to hear you on this channel, 1 million more people are hearing you. Not 1 million, but you know what I mean. Tons more are hearing you here.
It's not that. It was the he got of abuse after, like, or complaints afterwards, and complaints. Sorry.
Yeah,
and,
you're gonna have both sides. You know, I'm on Team Billi, I'm on Team Russo. F you, because you got blasted where I'm tagged in every damn. I'm like,
yeah,
oh.
afterwards, because because it was him that went out and did the politicking. It was him that went out and turned around and was like going, oh, you know, like this guy wanted to leave, and even on one show he did turn around and goes, he wanted to change the deal, and I said, I'm paying you, and this is what I want to pay you. It was never about any money at all. He made me out to be a greedy who turned around and was like, and tried to change some deal on him or whatever. That's
where you get hit by a lot of people, though, is when you say it's not about money, but you do say a lot about what he paid you. That's the one problem. That's the one where people are going to get you.
It was more about the disrespect of what it was. It's like, this is what you think I'm worth. Like, this is what you think the show's worth every month. And then, obviously, when I spoke to Disco and heard what he was getting paid, I felt better. Like, because I couldn't believe it. Like, so, yeah.
All right. You know what? We're like 45 minutes into this, and we haven't reported the news yet, Billy. So I'm going to drive this car, and I'm going to take it down.
I almost did this to troll these people this week.
Because, and I'm like, I know they're tapping the screen to hit that 10 seconds. So, do you think that the WWE are countering programming because of what AEW has been doing?
Yeah, so I asked that this week because it's a lot of that. There was some story out where it said, oh, they're leaking AEW's like news out. They're leaking out information to the dirt sheets about AEW. My understanding is that WWE and Nick Khan in particular are not remotely bothered by AEW. Everything that WWE is doing at the moment is motivated pretty much by very, very poor ticket sales. Now, next week, I'm going to have a story on here once I get more information about how WWE are going to proceed with this touring schedule, because my initial understanding is that they were going to do a big tour, like we're back on the road once we got out of the pandemic. And then they were going to reduce these house shows again, and they were going to look for a television facility in particular to start doing Raw from, because during the pandemic, they made an extra, $15-16 million from not having to travel and take their equipment and on the road from being in a performance center. So the idea is that they would buy an arena or something that resembled an arena and host Raw and SmackDown from there. It's not
like always like in Florida, kind of like the Disney Studios thing back in the day, where it's only in one place, so you have the same audience almost every week.
Yeah, because of the savings from it. It's just astronomical money. It's immediately moving that is $650K a week just to move and store that. So yeah, I'll talk about that next week because it's not on my list right now.
So you think they would do like 2 tours a year where it's over the whole country, so people over here West Coast would be like, oh, I finally get to see them once a year or something?
No, I still think they'll go out on the weekends or every other week or every other weekend. But the house show doesn't cost. There's no equipment there. It's like it's a few bits and pieces. It's like one truck, but it's not like 10 trucks that you need to carry around the TV equipment where you got to fuel the trucks, move the trucks, build the equipment, hire all the people to set you up for TV. Like it's not that. So
see, I would almost think the crowd would kind of be dead after a while. Like, it'd be the same people, so it kind of gets boring to the same person over and over if you're always at this show, and you're gonna have that same core audience that are always at these shows if it's in Florida or whatever.
You're just gonna pipe it in anyway, so it doesn't.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what's going on with something having to do with your neck of the woods in the UK when it comes to Crown Jewel?
I haven't finished this bit yet.
Okay.
Just because one of the contributing factors towards why they'll be reducing these tours is the ticket sales for Raw were 3,900, and that's in the bottom 15% ever for Raw, right? However, the fact it was a 17,500 capacity arena means that only 22.2% of the building was full. That 22.2% is the lowest percentage in the history of the company. The history of the company for the amount a building was filled up. That's ridiculous.
And this was this last week in San Francisco?
Yeah.
I was wondering, because to get into that building too, you need to have your shots.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that had something to do with it. I was wondering how Sasha was even in the building.
Well, because they have been requesting special dispensation, which they didn't care about Sasha. They didn't want to. When they found out Brock Lesnar couldn't get into Madison Square Garden, that's because and Roman Reigns, but Roman Reigns has got a medical exemption. But medical exemption doesn't get you into the UK, so that's why Roman Reigns was pulled off all the tours, because he can't. Because if you're not vaccinated and you need to get in and out of countries without a vaccination, you need to actually go for the actual government, like the actual US government need to actually say you can come in and out. That's who WWE are sanctioning all their tours off anyway. When they were even when the vaccinated people were leaving the country, that was all like made via an application to the actual government. So moving on to that UK news, it's just a small bit. WWE have done a deal with View Cinemas in the UK to air Crown Jewel. So I'll be watching that. I'll be going to 2 Man United games on October the 20th and the 24th. So I'll be staying in Manchester, and that is actually one of the places. It's not loads of cities, but like they are doing like 15, 16. So yeah, I'm going to get to be watching that Crown Jewel pay-per-view in a cinema. So I'll let you know how that is.
It's almost like the old school, the closed circuit TV back in the early WrestleMania days. You would have to go to a place that, like a theater, that would have a giant satellite dish, one of those monsters. This is almost a two-parter because it has to do with King of the Ring. And the first part is about who we see, who is going to win at this point. What has been reported, who's going to win this thing?
Yeah, so that's a longer story. I mean,
the second part is the longer story. This main one though is just who's winning, because the other one is very interesting to me about who was originally going to win and why they are not going to win.
Yeah. So okay. So the plans at the moment for this. I mean, this is a big pay-per-view, as I just said. It's going to be in the cinemas over here. It looks more like Mania than Mania did on paper, because you didn't have Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania this year. So the plans at the moment are to have all of the champions retaining, and for Finn Balor, to win the King of the Ring right now. So while it seems like a huge pay-per-view, everything is going to remain as is. So Roman Reigns is going to face Big E at the Survivor Series, as they'll be the champions coming out and facing the Survivor Series, which is not going to be changing its format. They're still going to be going with that stale old Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown. At the moment, also Usos versus RK Bro, and most likely Damian Priest versus Nakamura. However, at some point, Sheamus is penciled in to win the IC title. And as soon as WWE want to crack on with pushing Rick Boogs, who's the priority in the Nakamura situation, in the Nakamura pairing, they will give the belt to Sheamus. And maybe Boogs will go and try and get it off Sheamus, or Boogs is going to feud Nakamura. I'm not too sure, but Boogs is seen as a really big star. Nakamura is seen as a washed, a star who they've used up their ideas with. He's washed. They're not going to do anything else with him. So looking at this King of the Ring tournament, so we spoke about how everything's looking like it's going to remain the same at Crown Jewel,
which is pretty much you're watching the pageantry of an event, because every one of those matches seems very obvious. Like I don't think there's I wonder if this person's going to win. I thought they're all pretty obvious wins, because I would assume they were all keeping their belts and stuff. So
did you see Ross release the betting odds like they haven't been out for like 2 weeks?
Yeah. I was more upset because betonline.ag or whatever had it, where that's one of my spots that I gamble, and I'm like, I never see wrestling on there. I'd be betting on it.
His website's a joke. So Xavier Woods was supposed to win the King of the Ring. A part of bringing it back was actually a pitch from Woods and the things he wanted to do as the king. So, you know, when he was king, you know, we see this documentary on WWE Network at the moment. And I tweeted earlier, how can WWE tell you that Randy Savage banged Stephanie McMahon without telling you that Randy Savage banged Stephanie McMahon? Watch this documentary. Randy Macho King Savage, the number 9 greatest king of all time. Number 9.
How many have there? Well, I guess there's been a lot of King of the Rings, which are nonsense, though.
I would say no more than 20, though. But yeah, I mean, he got ahead of Harley Race, Wade Barrett, and Baron Corbin by 1 place. But he was behind Sheamus, Edge, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle. Yeah. It was. I'm telling you, like, there's some issue there. And
for the actual gimmick of King, because if you go just overall, Brock Lesnar's a monster, all that kind of stuff, sure. But as a king, Brock Lesnar never was running around being King Brock Lesnar. So as king, these
documentaries are so confusing. They don't know what they want to be. They had Austin at number 2 because he obviously became the biggest star, but he never gave a shit about the King of the Ring.
No.
Triple H was number 4. He bashed his King of the Ring up, and number 1 was Booker because of the way he played King.
I was going to say, I bet you Booker's number 1. And you know what? I'm not too upset by it. If this is the problem, which are they going by? Are they going by the person who played King and had a character? Then the whole thing has to be changed. Or is it just star power of what they did after they became a king, like they shot to the moon? Then Austin's number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top for me. Like, the top 5 should have been Booker T. I agree. Actually,
yeah,
he did a good job. Randy Macho King Savage, number 2. You think of him immediately as the king.
I think of Harley immediately because he was the one that I knew of when it was like him and Haku and Duggan were the first ones I ever saw.
I actually got them all in, except Duggan. So I got Owen number 3 because he was the King of Hearts, put it in his name, everything. I put 4. I put Harley, and 5 Haku. Like these were the kings, like the kings of wrestling. I mean,
that was their gimmick. That was all they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, decide what you want to be and go with it. But yeah. So here's the interesting part of this story.
Well, first of all, do you know what Woods wanted to do with this gimmick? Okay.
No, I don't know. That's obviously like under wraps. But I mean, it was impressive enough for them to say, all right. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do the King of the Ring. Obviously, also they needed stuff coming out of the pandemic and trying to get live crowds in. And, you know, we've seen they've not maintained a rating. They've not maintained a crowd. This has gone backwards very quickly. I think much quicker than they anticipated. So they have called, the WWE have called on Woods, which is surprising because if this is a guy who pushed for the tournament to come back and you did it off the back of his pitches, to call on him as the winner is very surprising. It's happened off the back of a leaked document which lists wrestling's top 10 earners from Twitch. Now, Woods' his reputation in the WWE is that he could turn to chicken salad in terms of social media interaction. He was viewed as some sort of social media guru. In his defense, Up, Up, Down, Down is a YouTube channel. But obviously, this is a document that made its way through to WWE, and they were surprised by the list. As a result of the list, they have subsequently upped their interest in Zelina, who was just dead weight, and even Paige, who, as a result, a conversation has happened where the WWE are looking to see if they can get Paige cleared. And these are the numbers that turn their heads. Adam Cole received $318,000 from the payments on Twitch. Colt Cabana, $32,000. Evil Uno, $35,000. Impact Wrestling as a whole, $69,000. Paige, $478,000.
Because you've seen what she wears on that. You think they're looking at a video game?
This doesn't even include tips, I don't think.
You say tips, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this time she's the one that's Woods. So
twice.
Right. Woods came in at $25,000 on this list, and Selena Vega $341,748.
Do you think McMahon knows the difference between Twitch and YouTube? I don't think he did. He don't know what the hell Twitch is. And the fact that they go, oh, he's not the most popular on Twitch, let's not let him be king of the ring. It's the stupidest thing ever that they would even.
No, I don't think it is, because if his pitches are to do with, I'm gonna wear the crown here, I'm gonna wear the crown here, I'm gonna push it on my YouTube, I'm gonna push it on my Twitch, I'm gonna.
I got your promotion then, yeah.
I'm gonna do all of these, these interactive things. I imagine Woods is an outside of the box thinker, and with this King of the Ring, we would have seen some like different stuff. We may still see it, because as I always say, Liv Morgan didn't win the Money in the Bank because Instagram worked out that she was going to win the Money in the Bank. Like she pulled a massive number in a poll, and the next thing you know, Nikki Ash is winning it. So you never know what's going to end up happening. But at the moment, I think the plan is for Balor to win it. And I think if Woods was winning it, I think this bracket would be set up differently, because we know Sammy isn't going into the isn't going into Saudi.
However, when he went up there and put that cape on his head with the crown, I was pissing myself. That was fantastic. I said he could have fun with this whole thing, but like we all know, he's not going to Saudi.
No, but do you think that Woods is going to have any? Are you feeling that Woods is going to be something you want to see? Because I think the New Day bores me to death.
All I can imagine Woods doing, which is probably not fair to him, and I should give benefit of the doubt, is I see him emulating Booker. I see him doing the same exact thing, because we've seen him do like that royalty voice on different programs where, he's regal and stuff like that. So that's what I imagine him, people carrying his cape behind him and just being pretty much the same as Booker.
I think he would do some where he dresses up like every King of the Ring. Like he comes down as Bret Hart, and he comes down.
That's pretty good.
No, that's awful. That's a
no,
terrible...
but that's for he always has different. But that's a good thing that you're saying, because I could see that 100% that would happen. Right. And they wear the different outfits now as is. You wouldn't get a kick out of him in a full Bret Hart outfit coming to the ring. You wouldn't pop for that. I would get off my seat right off the bat. I would like, oh, that's great. Because we said when Punk wore Macho Man trunks, we all. Yeah, but that's CM Punk.
Look at the level. Look at the level. Maybe Woods dressing up as Razor Ramon is like a burger being covered in peppercorn sauce. It's not.
You're out of your mind.
It's not steak. It's not steak.
You didn't like that? I thought that was slick when he came out there dressed like Razor Ramon. I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, when it comes to Woods, the only thing I would get up for is his release.
Or other movies that he makes.
Yeah, that's the best thing he's ever done.
You said he thinks outside the box. I saw him thinking inside the box. Well, there's two more stories I want to get to here. I'm saving one for the end here, but you have a potential AEW pay-per-view card, you think?
You read my mind with the switch of that. The switch. Mm-hmm. Hold on, Joe Feeney's texting me.
Did he say get that Cav off there? Is that what he's watching?
All right, let me just we'll wrap up in a second. We'll get to that. We'll get to the.
Yeah, there's only two left.
Yeah, so and we did a lot of to start just to wind people up. I am now starting to get this AEW info at the moment because there's a lot of like internal like chatter with people, and it's not a case of like. If AEW could equally leak WWE's news as equally as WWE could leak theirs, like I just don't think anybody's bothering. Like Tony Khan could, buy news. It's not like difficult to get. Like Tony Khan could call me and I would have a price. Everybody's got a price, like they say. $1 Million Man's family price means that they now have to pay back millions of pounds. Have you seen that story?
No.
Oh, they stole from like a charity or something. They spent loads of donations, like him and his kids.
Who is this?
Ted DiBiase.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, dig that one. That's not like an exclusive.
Was it a long time ago, though?
Yeah, I think they just lost the case. Like they
just lost it. Okay.
Yeah. All right, so the AEW card at the moment looks like it's going to be Kenny versus Hangman, Brian versus Mox, and I imagine that is a tournament match, the number one contenders final match.
I was gonna say, yeah, how would that even come about? But yeah, okay.
Yeah, Inner Circle versus American Top Team, MJF versus Darby. Punk is supposed to face Wardlow. I don't know how you get to that. Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill. I imagine that's the final of the new belt that was first announced by me.
The TBS. There you go.
Christian versus Adam Cole. Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. And Cody versus Malachi back again. The Cody thing is ridiculous because they are forcing him to remain as a babyface, which nobody wants at all. They did the whole thing where Arn is like burning his stuff, and they're doing the whole like rebuilding him. Like Arn's like taking him back to basics. Like, you don't need this tie, you don't need this suit, you don't need this house.
Is it too late?
It's going to be the Rocky story. They're copying Rocky 3. You remember when Apollo told Rocky that like he got too comfortable?
Got Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what. But the thing is, nobody wants it. Malachi Black, and I don't like him. He got me kicked off Twitter, right? So I don't like the guy. But the fact is that the fans do, and this is a gimmick that is cooler than Aleister Black, and this is a gimmick we'll get over. This is what is going to bring in your casual audience, not your long matches, not your CM Punk return being wasted against Danny Garcia. Like, this is some of the worst book I've ever seen. I was so like pumped for this to like challenge, and I can't believe Tony Khan has booked this worse than I could have ever imagined. To me, to see Punk against Darby was a bit of a stretch, but it was like, okay, he's got to win the first one. This is his Ultimate Warrior versus Triple H match from WrestleMania 12. This is what it is. This is Punk and Darby, right? But
it goes an hour instead.
Oh yeah, except he's going to let him hit a move or two. But you know, he gave him a lot more than that, and then that set the tone for he's going in there and Taz is talking to him, and Taz's whole team is trash. Like, but then he's involved with Team Taz, and he's got to face Hobbs, and now he's facing these like cruiserweights from like 205. It's awful. Like, I don't think they could have done this any worse. I think Bryan and Omega, the marks are going to jump around for a 30-minute draw. But what are the fans at home going to be thinking? Oh, I could have done something else with that 30 minutes. I could have watched you porn for 30 minutes instead of like having to sit through something.
Who needs 30 minutes?
Well, you do. You watch the whole scene. You like.
It depends on which movies you send me. When they have some crazy going on, I have to sit there and watch.
You're talking about that massive the
massage one you sent me out. Do you think it's too late though? Because they're gonna have all this Cody stuff, and he's gonna be triumphant and win, and everyone's gonna go, "Get the hell out of here! We don't want you." It's gonna be. He thinks people are gonna be behind him and cheer this.
They're doing that anyway. Like, they told him that they don't like him. His reality show, what's it called? Roads to the Top or something. I don't know what it's called, but it's getting like killed every single episode. So I mean, if you don't know by now that what the hell's going on in my hair? If they don't like, you don't know that they're not interested in you by now. Like, you're never going to be. I mean, he's completely tone deaf. He's saying that he's not going to turn heel because he's got a kid now. Dude, your kid's going to be like 3 years old before he even understands anything that's going on the TV. You've got 3 years to turn babyface. Like, while he's there, be sucking your wife's and yourself. Like, you have got time to turn heel. You have got time to do it. Like, trust me, from another parent. I can
sucking your wife's and your pants. That should be the title of the show. All right, going on to the last story here. They kind of alluded to this on Raw, I believe, last week.
Did they? I didn't pick up.
Yeah, so one of the people that you're going to mention here actually said this. So go ahead. It's surprising, then.
Okay, so this is a big show. Like, some of this, and I want to make it clear, this is not, none of this is, well, some of this is already happening, and some of this is penciled in to happen. So I don't want to be quoted as, oh, he said this is happening on this show or that show. So I'm going to be very clear here about the facts and the what ifs and the things that haven't and have happened. So this could be the most interesting story here on the show if it comes to fruition. There were talks over the last few months, and that's a key word, about unifying the women's titles, as the WWE are finding it very difficult to book fresh, credible feuds, and the numbers are pretty bad for anything that doesn't involve Sasha or Becky Lynch. They're the main two needle pushers, which is why they're probably having a match this week on SmackDown on FS1. I think that's why they've been selected. Because they're two heels and it doesn't make sense, but they are the needle pushers. There have been talk about potentially unifying the belt as early as Survivor Series. Now, let me read that sentence again. There has been talk about potentially unifying.
They're going to go, they didn't do it. Billy was wrong.
Yeah, unifying the belt as early as Survivor Series to keep Becky Lynch on both shows because they want Roman and Becky on as much as they can possibly be on. This is why the WWE have brought in Molly Holly, because the feeling is that Molly knew how to work solid 3 or 4 minute matches back in her. This is drive people insane. 3 or 4 minute matches back in her. Not me. I think this is good. 3 or 4 minutes. As that's what they were looking to do with the women who are not seen as a draw. So if you look at those King of the Ring matches, they're all done by Molly Holly. So this isn't top women's matches like the title matches. So this is just the women who are lower down the card. So they're seemingly done with all the girls going out there and trying to work 7 or 8 minutes. They are going to be now produced by Molly Holly. It's going to be short stuff. They're going to be there. They're going to try and, say that we're still doing this women's thing without really pushing this women's thing like they have been. They know who the draws are. And also, one of the other things here, they don't want to be held to random and at gunpoint by the fact that Sasha and Charlotte's negotiations might be coming up soon. And on the next show, because we've run long already, I will talk about the 4 horsewomen contracts. I'm not talking about the Ronda ones, because we talked about it last time. I'm talking about the Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, Bailey. I'm talking about those contracts and how they worked out. And just to finish up, last week, we talked about the return of Ronda. Look at this tweet this week from Fox.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
And it says here, Becky Lynch has said, the fact that I had a baby and came back so great, she'll probably want to one-up me and come back in 3 months. Yeah, well, you got to hear first.
So a couple things real quickly I wanted to do. The women's matches, I have the times for each of them, what we've had for this Queen of the Queen's Crown.
Queen's Crown.
Zelina versus Toni Storm, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Carmella versus Liv, 1 minute, 46 seconds. Shayna versus Dana, 1:21. And the longest of all of them, Doudrop versus Natalya, 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Oh, I felt that length of that one.
And the one other thing I wanted to mention before two actually real quick, was the one with Charlotte said on Raw, maybe I'll beat you, Becky, and take both belts and unify them. She said this on Raw in the back somewhere. I was like, okay. I'm like, I hope so, because this is ridiculous. The other thing is, me and you talked off air, which I thought was a very good point that you made, where I said, what do you think about Carmella winning the Queen thing? Because it fits her personality. And you said, well, I'm kind of thinking Shayna. And I go, that's a smart move, because she's Queen, the spades thing, right? So I'm like, okay, that does make sense that she would do that. And then you said, or it could be Carmella could win because Doudrop ends up beating Shayna and Shayna screws over Doudrop. So keep that in mind. That's just our thoughts in our head of what we think could happen. But I think that's very good, because Billy's nailed a lot of this stuff and this is not something Billy has asked or anything like this. Is just him guessing. But he's pretty good when it comes to this kind of stuff, where he comes out with stuff and I'm like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. So,
and that's the thing, like we're doing it with Cav collectively. It works in terms of, like, you brought guests onto the show, like with people that you've got for your show, and the stuff that you've just got for the you've given me news before from from producer guys and things like that. You got me. You managed to get all of that through your contacts. From my side of things, look, the news comes from different places, and all the things that we do come from different places. Like for Cav Needham Prize on his Patreon to be able to pull out the 5 things that he did, like that, you're not going to get that with Vince Russo. When we lose Vince Russo, we go out and get Eric Bischoff to replace Vince Russo on our show. Like, you're not going to get that through Sean Ross Sapp and these other idiots like that who get all of their news from phoning up the WWE. I'm getting news each week from sources that have previously used me for favors, and that is how the world works. I'll talk about it more on the start of the other show, because everybody goes, "Oh, why do we trust this guy? Why do we trust that guy?" The fact is that there's a track record, and for a long time, you know, I was receiving information. The only thing I received from the WWE guys was free tickets and information, and I had nothing to do with that information for years, other than to bet on it and things like that. But you know, the free tickets wasn't as much as what I was giving them, which was the ability to put their bets on, the ability to go out when they came to London and get things that they needed and go to places that they wanted to. I would sort out bottles for them. Look, bottles in strip clubs and nightclubs are sold for £500 a bottle for a bottle of vodka. Now, we know it's not worth 500. We know it's like £40 to buy. But obviously, you know, when you buy a bottle in the club, it's £500, right? And,
Sure.
you know, I would get them through my contacts, because that's where I was working. I would get them their complimentary bottles. So, you know, the free tickets had a zero monetary value. The bottle of vodka, at least it has, you know, a 40, 50 pound value, but inside the club, it has a $500 value. The tickets maybe have an 80, 90 pound value, because, you know, they were decent seats. But the fact is that this is the trade-off I've always done with people. It's always been a case of, I'll help you do this, you'll help me do that. I'll help you do this, I'll help you do that. And through these relationships, through helping people, you build things which make information accessible. I built relationships with the marketing guys. I built relationships with the production guys. I built relationships with the wrestlers. I built relationships with the gamblers. What has Sean Ross Sapp done other than talking to like a few guys who work for the WWE, building a little website, being rejected by the MMA community and coming into this? He's not done jack shit. Saturn's not done shit either, other than sponge off his dad and like, you know, sit around with his ugly girlfriend. Like, he's done, none of these guys have done nothing. And even like Dave I don't say anything about, because Dave built this ship for everybody else to, you know, to do. But the fact is that Dave's news, it's not hitting anymore. It hasn't been hitting for a long, long time. And he deserves full credit for being wrong as often as he is and still managing to steal $12 a month from people. And
I still think he should pay you for the stories.
And more significantly, having wrestlers asking me when his star ratings are out and where they can find them. Like, that is insane. Okay, so you cannot knock him because he's wrong and his opinion is like stupid. Like, he lost all credibility with the 6-star, 7-star stuff when he started doing that. Like, it was out of 5. You don't give.
It's like you only saying how Drew has great matches or something. He does no credibility when it comes to that.
There is no 110%. Like, you can't do an exam actually 110%. You can't be done. It destroys the credibility of your grading. If something's out of something, 5 is as high as you can go.
Yeah.
Because he gave 5 stars to Brett and Owens cage match in SummerSlam '94, and
did he?
I think he did.
I think the first biggest thing ever was that Jericho Omega. Like, no one ever hit 5 stars. That was the
I think because he enjoyed that stuff more, he decided to go 6 and 7 and all this other shit. And that's the thing. Like, he should never have done that, because he had the most credible system that there ever was. So yeah, that's the thing, guys. Like, just be wary of people who give you the news, and they're also friendly enough with the WWE to get the interviews. I don't get any interviews. I get phone calls from on my mobile and emails saying, "Where did you get that from? Can you take this down? Can you tell us how you reported it? You know, we want to build a."
People in the WWE have contacted and said, "How does he get his stuff? Because he's really good." Obviously, I can't tell you who said that to the people, but it's been said.
They even contacted Disco, and I've only been on here for a week, or 2 weeks.
That's crazy. So, well, let's be done with this show. You can sign up to K100 Informer on Twitter as well. And Billi K100, not the wrestler chick. This one is different. Same hair, but differently. I think actually Billy's better looking than Billi K. Billi, Billi K100. Also, for fun, go to lockbetting.com because you'll see that you can get some wrestling bets over there if you want to. And my stuff at Lingus Mafia. Remember, there's a giveaway. Be one of the first 100.
I zoomed in because you said, I just changed the camera. You said I was better looking than her. And I was just
so you had to prove your point.
Remember,
I have all this nonsense. I got stuff to give away.
Is he better? Like now, like zoomed in.
Well, she has maybe a thicker beard, but all right. Go to my stuff. You want to be one of the first 100. Win some of this stuff. It's going to be more than 5 drawings. I promise you that. It's going to be more. We're gathering more stuff. So we're trying to get 10 different things. So you got a 1 in 10, 1 in 10 chance to win all this stuff. Be one of the first 100. For Mr. Billy Body, I'm Cab Manning. We'll see you next time.